everyone and welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be showing you how I draw black fur using pastel pencils. Black and white fur are both of the two types of colours of fur that people struggle with the most, and black fur is actually my favourite colour of fur to draw. Don't know why, it just is. I just love the colours and I love how shiny you can make it look. So I always start off with a base layer. So here I'm using a Caran d'Ache pastel pencil because they're one of the softest. I just use this all over the base as like a really rough guide. You could also use pan pastels for this, which would work really well, and I use pan pastels a lot as well. They're basically like pastel in like a pressed powder form, and you can use like a sponge or something to put it on the base, and that creates a really good base. I then use a blending stump to blend this out, and a blending stump is basically just a paper stump which you can just use to blend out your pastel. And if you work with pastels, 100% recommend getting a pack of these because I use these in every single one of my pastel drawings. They're just a lifesaver. They're so much better than using your finger. If you use your finger, there's just oils on your finger which will transfer onto the paper, and it's just, it's not really a good idea. So it's really great to use one of these stumps. As you can see in my reference photo in the corner, there's this dark section over one side, so I've added like a base layer of kind of a browny colour, and then also the other side is a lot lighter, but I am trying to darken it up quite a bit as well, because then when you add the lighter colours on top, it really stands out and it adds some depth to it as well. The reference photo here, you can see the fur looks really blue, so that's quite a lot of the colours that I'll be using for this section of fur are blues and like blue toned greys, so like cool greys. So I use a lot of navy blue for this piece. As you can see, the right hand side at the moment is looking very blue. It will get darkened up and it will look more like the reference photo as we go, but this is just the base layer. When working with pastels, the base layer always looks super messy and does not look very good, but you slowly add more and more layers and it just all comes together in the end. So if your piece is looking pretty bad like mine is right now, just bear with it and keep adding layers and you will get there. And then adding some black and some really dark grey onto the darker side here. So black fur, I try not to use too much black just because it can make it look too muddy unless there's really dark patches like this section over here. If you add too much black, it can just make the drawing look very flat. You need to use some other colours and some other tones in it as well. This section on the left hand side is very black, so I'm using quite a bit of black for this section. I also am going to add a little bit of black onto the other section because you can see there's a couple of little darker bits which I need to add in just to give it some depth when I add the light colours on top. After the first few layers, I keep blending out with the blending stump in between just to smooth it all out and take away some of the texture, and it also fills in all the tooth on the paper so that there's no like grainy look. It just gets rid of that grainy appearance that you don't necessarily want. On the final layers, I don't blend those out with a blending stump because I don't want those to look blended. I want to keep the texture, but for the base layers, I do like to blend it out just so that it makes a really nice smooth base. Even when doing the base layers and this second layer here, I am kind of shaping out the direction of the fur, because this fur for this reference photo is going in all sorts of different directions. So there's some bits that are going up, some bits that are going down, some bits that are going across. So it's important to always follow the direction of the fur to make it look realistic, because fur never just sits in one direction. Just continuing to blend, make it really smooth, and then I'm adding on some lighter greys on top, some lighter colours just to start mapping out the lighter areas in the fur. So I use a slightly lighter pencil, and then I'll go in with an even lighter pencil, and then eventually I'll go in and use a white pencil to add the final highlights. I just like gradually lighten the areas up, don't do it too soon, and it's good to add loads of different tones just to obviously create more depth in the piece. Just because this black fur here is quite blue toned, it doesn't always mean that every black fur is going to be like this. Some of them have like purple tones or maybe even like green or anything. It depends where the animal is and what's reflecting onto the fur. Most of the time, black fur isn't just pure black, it's always got some other colours in it, so just look closely, and eventually, after working on loads of different black furs and after loads of practice, you will start to notice what colours are there and what kind of colours that you need to use. And now I'm going in with quite a light grey, as you can see here, lightening it up more and more, and you can see now why I needed to add that extra dark bit into the light section, because it just creates depth when you add the lighter colours on top. And these layers here, I'm not going to blend out with the blending stump because I don't need to, because you want to add a bit of texture. This fur here is quite textured, it's not super smooth. Some animal fur is really smooth and shiny and just very, very smooth, whereas this fur here is a bit longer and it's more textured, so I don't want to blend out the top layers very much at all. And then finally I'm going in with the white just to add in the last final highlights, make it look really light and shiny like the sun or the sunlight is shining onto the subject. I'm making sure to add some strands of fur that go in all sorts of different directions to create the texture that's in the reference photo, make it look really realistic. Here's the finished piece, and then peeling off the tape at the end is always my absolute favourite part. It's just so satisfying seeing that really nice crisp line. I will also be doing a tutorial similar to this one but for white fur. White fur I find is a bit more difficult than black fur because you don't want to make it look really dull, and then you don't want to make it look really dull, so it is quite difficult, but I will be doing a tutorial on that very soon, so please keep your eyes peeled. Hope you found the video helpful, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more from me if you're not subscribed already. I upload a video every single Sunday, so keep your eyes peeled for my next video and I hopefully see you then. Thanks for watching, bye.